sports listeners. I'm your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athletes. Woo! And we're talking all athletes. Welcome, everybody. Whether you're on 1290 AM, 96.9 FM, or Eternity Ready Radio. A little love and shout to Jeremiah Ferris out at Eternity. How you all doing today? This is Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. We've got a beautiful group today. Don Sanders, our producer Richard Dugan, got Dominique Hackett in the house. Others are going to join later on today. But without further ado, let's do this because we've got kids in the house. We've got recaps. We've got Don's recaps. We've got DP Charger recaps. So let's start off with Romy Davies. What's happening, Romy?
Thank you, Erica, and hello, everyone. This is Romy Davies, Santa Barbara High School senior, reporting back from Santa Barbara, California with this week's SB Don Sports Recap. On Friday, our varsity boys water polo team won 2 games in the round-robin competition of the Santa Barbara Invitational Boys Water Polo Tournament at San Marcos. The boys beat Maricosta 8-7 with 3 goals each from Mateo Bondo and Jared Burford. John Schaefer had 4 assists and a goal, and Landon Romo earned 3 exclusions to go with a goal and 3 steals. In their second game, Jared Burford had an amazing 8 goals and a pair of steals to give the team a 16-10 win over Monte Vista. John Schaefer added 3 goals, Francisco Valladares scored 2, and Shane Davis had 3 assists and 3 steals. The boys won their final 2 games and finished the tournament 4-1. The Dons beat Garces Memorial 10-9 in overtime and defeated Redlands East Valley 13-7. John Schaefer scored the game winner for the Dons against Garces. Jared Burford scored 4 goals and had 3 steals, and Landon Romo had 3 goals and 5 steals. Shane Davis added 4 assists and 3 steals. A lot of stealing going on. In regards to volleyball, the girls varsity volleyball team won their home conference match against Buena on Thursday by a score of 3-2. 2 days before, on Tuesday, they beat Dos Pueblos in an away conference match 3-1. In football news, the football team is set to play Ventura on Friday, September 16th at 7 p.m., and then Rio Mesa on the 23rd, the following Friday, also at 7 p.m. It was a very heavy water polo recap this week, with not much more about the other teams, but hopefully next week we'll have more to hear about the other fall sports and how they're all doing. So that's it for this week's SB Dons recap, and see you next time.
Thank you, Romy. Such a rock star, isn't she? She's amazing. Isn't she like the most amazing person? She was referred to us by a 4-year Don, and Ava Burford was her name, and she's actually off to, I believe she's still in grad school, am I right? But anyway, her twin brothers play water polo, and Romy gave him some kudos last week, which is really exciting. But we have a Charger now. First week, we've got DP Chargers, and they're doing great. All their sports programs are doing fantastic. We have a returner, Matthew Weitzel from last year. He said, I'm in this year. So, Matthew, talk to me. What's going on over at DP?
Thank you, Erica. Now let's get into DP's last week's recap. I'm Matthew Weitzel, and let's get into it. Unfortunately, this past Friday, football took their second loss of the season against the Ventura Cougars, with the game ending 7-35. This loss puts the Chargers football team's record at 2-2. And here are the stats for that game. Busso with 1 touchdown, and Tripathi able to make the field goal. Although they fought hard, they were unfortunately beaten. We'll get him next time, Chargers. And now, let's check in with the boys' water polo team. They aren't faring much better, with a loss against the Arroyo Grande Eagles, making their record 4-2 this season. The game ended 9-14. Chargers starting off strong with 4 goals in the first quarter. But the Eagles started off even stronger, with 7 in the first quarter, and then following that up with another 4 in the next quarter, crushing the spirits of the Chargers. Although the defeat must have been devastating, there is still more season left for boys water polo to prove just how great they are. So let's go forward with our heads high, Chargers. And finally, it's time to check in with girls volleyball team. To end on a good note, the Chargers beat the Rio Mesa Spartans 3-0. crushing their spirits in the first game, 25-11, sealing their inevitable victory for the next 2 games, which ended 25-15 and 25-17 respectively. Great job, girls. I can't wait to see more of you and your season. This was Matthew Weitzel with Charger Recap, signing out.
Wow. Matthew, you killed it. That was a fun 2 minutes. So appreciate it. Down the road, we've got SM going to be joining. We've got the Cardinals going to be joining. Just recruiting some more and more athletes. If anybody out there wants to participate in doing some recaps, just give me an email, queenofteensb@gmail.com, and we'll get you all set up. This is a great line item for college resumes, and kids are having a lot of fun. We'll be back right after these messages. And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hello, this is Dominique Hackett with Santa Barbara Wellness Center, and this is a Hygge moment.
Ahooga!
Oh, I love it. Hygge is those comfortable, cozy things that we collect in our life that help make life really enjoyable. And one of those things that we collect are family, friends, and stories. And I love to tell stories. So I have a story. It's about, it starts out saying it's about a farmer and a horse. So this version of the story comes from China. There was a Chinese farmer who had a horse, and his horse ran away. And in the evening, the neighbors came by, and they were just so sad for him. You know, they came by to commiserate. And they're like, wow, we're so sorry to hear that your horse has run away. It's most unfortunate.
The horse's name was Pepper. just saying. Every animal needs a name.
That's very
Pepper.
So the farmer says, when they said it's most unfortunate, the farmer said, well, maybe. There was a pause. That's kind of an interesting response. So the next day, the farmer's horse, Pepper, came back, and he brought 7 wild horses with him. And
he brought all the spices.
He brought all the spices.
Oregano.
Cumin.
And in the evening, the community came and they celebrated. Wow. Isn't this lucky? What a great turn of events. Now you have 8 horses. And the farmer said again, well, maybe. And the next day, his son tried to break one of these wild horses. To break a horse means you get it so that a human being can ride on the back, right? And so he's working to break the horse in, and while riding it, he's thrown off and he broke his leg. And the neighbors came and they said, oh my gosh, that's so sad. Oh dear, that's too bad. And the farmer said, well, maybe. And the next day, the Chinese government came through, and at that time they had conscription into the army, and they came around to gather up all the young men to join the army, and they had to reject the farmer's son because he had a broken leg. And again, the neighbors came around and said, oh, isn't that great? And the farmer said, well, maybe. And that's the end of my story. So this story shows up. It shows up in Tales from India. It shows up in similar Tales from Africa. It shows up in a lot of different cultures. And the suggestion of the story is that life events may take on different meanings based upon the things that follow up or the things that surround it and so forth. And the equanimity. I mean, this is a word that you don't hear very often. But
I don't think I ever heard it.
When I was a child, because I read Thoreau and Emerson and some of these existential thinkers and writers, I heard the concept of equanimity. And equanimity means, if I understand correctly, equal-mindedness. And the ability to take in life's events, but hold a space of balance inside your heart and your beingness where you're calm with it. And so what I want to encourage teens, if you have not looked up the word equanimity, go look it up, see how it's been used by various writers. There are a lot of great quotes that use the word. And contemplate the idea that it may be more enjoyable to go through life with equanimity, being able to take in events of life, but have that balance.
Nice.
You know, it's interesting now. I've told that story many times, and the farmer actually, in my story, basically when the neighbor says, "Oh, that's good," or "Oh, that's bad," the farmer will say, "Who's to say what's good or bad?" And
right.
we, go through the story. And one of the things that it helped me to better compartmentalize, so to speak, or to actually dispel the concept of duality was that story. Because life is just what it is. And so when you take out the good and the bad part of it in this context as we're talking, you take sort of the emotion out of it. It doesn't mean you don't care. It didn't mean the neighbor didn't care.
Right.
It just means, okay, I can be clear-headed. I can think about this challenge that is before us. Okay, the horse ran off. Or the son broke his leg. What do we do? Or they came back and so forth. So what do we do? What now? Instead of what I did with the very first time I saw a puff of smoke way out in the distance when we first moved here in June. We were here in May of 2006. June of 2007, I saw that little puff of smoke, but it was way out by Kuyama. I didn't know how far it was. I had no points of reference. I freaked out. I'm kidding. I kid you not.
And you thought it was a fire.
I knew it was a fire, but I thought it was a lot closer.
Right.
So once I began to learn about the signs, in other words, I start learning the signs of.
Yes.
I was no longer freaking out. I was also putting together the contact list and so on and so forth. So now I'm prepared.
And you have equanimity.
And I have equanimity.
An equal balanced mind.
Yeah.
Dr. Jean, you must be teaching teens, especially headed into college, how to hold that space.
Yeah, it's such a great concept, I think, because, thinking about all the different emotions that are in that story. And I think from a somatic perspective, I might say, well, part of our work is to allow the emotion, right? That we can still feel the happiness or the sadness or the fear, because that's also what informs us, right? That we do need to have times where we say, it is time to run. I am going to pack my bags and get out of here because I've been through a number of fires here in Santa Barbara. I know how quick they go, right? So knowing that it's okay to allow the body to feel it, knowing that it's there for a purpose. And it will change. It moves through. That's what emotion, right? Emoting. It's moving through, and then just allowing the next thing to come through. So that's a great metaphor for all of that.
Nice. Alex, you want to add to that?
Yes. I'm taking the emotion out of things that happen, even conversations. It's hard.
The emotion of judgment.
Yes.
Good word. Yes.
You respond right away with emotion most times. I mean, you panic, fear, anxiety. It's hard to suppress those things and detach. So one thing that's helped me is, if it's out of my control, I can't worry about it. I control what I can. And those are the things that are within my power. Those are the things that I worry about. But I mean, even then, it's not really worry. It's just, those are the things those are my responsibilities. And so trying to not panic and stay calm can be challenging. I mean, we experience it every day. Trying to drive, can you imagine? Just I lose my patience when I drive because there's some dangerous drivers who do not pay attention, and so I lose my patience sometimes, and it's hard. And applying that to life with seeing smoke and fire, it's the same thing. Fear, panic takes over. Yeah. And so it's hard. Finding that balance is tough. And so, there's always all these little sayings. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, it should matter in 5 minutes. It's
Don, what do you say?
It works.
Yeah, it's we're human, so our minds can go up and down like yo-yos, and we want to have some kind of a reliable touch point, something that we have balance, as Dominique mentioned, equanimity, and we're having, if we can just look at it as we're having a lesson, and don't. Like somebody mentioned judgment, it's like we're not necessarily taught to critically think in schools nowadays. That's one critique of the modern university. And if we can think the thing through and not go off to the races with the emotional response and judge, that's what we tend to do, is we judge it horrible. And then we're carrying the impression that we've had a horrible trauma. But the SCI Nichiren Buddhist Sangha I'm part of, there's a term they call changing poison into medicine. And so you might perceive that as the worst poison that was injected into you ever, but you can through time and through polishing your character and all the other things we've been talking about, you can come to a place where you're like, oh, okay, I can see now that had something to teach me. And now I don't have to carry that heavy backpack now and into the future forever. I can take that heavy backpack of that burden off and just get on with my life. You can actually come back to a place where you're refreshed and you can start seeing things with fresh eyes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It does. I have a great question that I might be able to start off the next section with.
Oh, that's exciting. That means let's take a break and get right to it.
Okay.
This is Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. We'll be back with a lot more after these messages. And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Welcome back. I'm Dominique Hackett with Santa Barbara Wellness Center, and I just wanted to carry the thread of the conversation. Specifically, when I was a teenager, I had learned from my family dynamics that it was important for my survival to try to fix everything. So when something would happen to my friends, I would jump in and try to fix it. I'd hear, this story or that story, and I was always jumping in with suggestions, or maybe I'd try to get involved and say something to someone, and I was constantly trying to fix things. It wasn't until I became an adult and I did some therapy work, I realized, I wish as a teen someone had explained to me that I could be there for my friends. I could be a human being instead of a human doing. And I could say, I see you and I hear you. And I could be there with my friend and feel with them. Ouch, wow, that really sucks. That really hurts. Or, wow, fantastic. You got an A+. I got a D. I'm so happy for you. I could have had a different experience as a teenager if I would have understood that the human being aspect is the sharing of the genuine emotion, and that I don't have to jump into judgment and doing.
It's really well said.
And I would say one other thing to what you said, metaphorically speaking, to this person. You didn't put yourself down, for example, for getting the D.
Right. No
Because
judgment.
your focus was on the other person.
I can celebrate your A+.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's important too, the self-talk in that process. With what we go through, I'm okay. I'm a good person. I'm doing the right thing, doing the best I can, and so forth and so on. So that's important as well. But fantastic.
Yeah, I only knew one way of being when I was a teen, and that was fix everything or you're not going to survive.
Yeah, not good. Dr. Jean.
Yeah, that takes so much energy too. I think, Dominique, right? Because you end up using all of your energy looking at outside of what needs my attention first, right? Or what do I need to do there? And I really like this idea of that, just because somebody else is doing well too, doesn't mean it's a reflection on me, right? It's not a competition in that way, right? That you can also look at yourself and be comfortable with, I have my own experiences, but also it gives it that permission when you can be there for somebody. It gives that permission that, what would it be like for somebody to be there for me, right? If you're always doing for other people, you're not allowing them to take care of you, then, what does it feel like to have somebody come to you and be that support for you, right? So I think I love that, idea of equanimity in that aspect, right? That we can all, have times when we need that lifting up, and also, not just giving, but also receiving that as just a
and I found as a fixer, it was really hard for me to receive because my role was to fix. It wasn't to allow other people to add into my experience. And so it was difficult for me to ask for help and receive help.
I remember Ellen Manning, actually the retired principal over at St. Raphael, she actually taught me that when the kids were really little. She says, you do. When somebody wants to do for you, you need to let them do it, because this way that you're denying them what you feel.
Well, and there's also
other people.
There's also that I like to call it that universal law of exchange.
Yeah.
You can't escape it. Right. There can't be a giver unless there's a receiver, and vice versa.
Yes.
So put aside your pride.
Yeah.
So we don't take charity. I was watching this one program, and that's all the father said. We don't take charity. And yet it really would have helped if he just sort of swallowed his pride and said, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, especially for those out there, it's like 50-50, a lot of single parenting going on. It really does take a village.
Mm-hmm.
So I embraced it, and I was very fortunate at St. Raphael's and Bishop, my personal experience, but you can create that tribe anywhere you go.
Yep.
I have another question for the whole group. Out of all the sports and activities that you experienced in high school, so maybe yearbook or being on the student body, there's lots of different ways we experience high school. What experience helped you the most, or what sport helped you the most in grounding into your body the knowledge that you're really glad that you got while you were in high school?
Okay, can we save that for the next section?
Yes.
Okay.
I know it's a deep question.
A deep, very deep question. My coffee is cold. Time to refill. Be right back after these messages.
Well, now together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, because together we will stand, every boy, every girl, and a man.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Welcome back. This is Dominique, and I asked kind of a deep question, but what I'm trying to share for teens is the people who host the show, we have a lot of experiences that we reflect on, and we think, what can we share with you that would help you have a more enjoyable school experience? And part of that has to do with lots of us have experienced lots of different sports or different things that we did in high school, whether we were in student body, whether we were in the yearbook, or lots of different things that you can do in school. And I'm asking our host, what is that one sport or one thing that really, wow, when you look back on high school, you're like, God, I'm so glad I did that because I learned a really deep wisdom that I continue to carry with me.
Done.
Yeah, I'm thinking back of the 5 sports I did. They were all team sports except for track and field. And when the question was posed of, what grounded you, which one of those sports grounded you in your body, I think it was that one, because you have a choice. In a team sport, you have to throw yourself into the melee, and you have to give correspondingly to the level of the play. It's just you're in the mix. But when you're running a 600 or whatever, we started out doing that in those President's Council and youth fitness things, and I ran like a 124 600, and everybody was just, you gotta, and then my track coach was, we got to make you a quarter miler in college. I didn't do that, but what I liked about that, I realized ultimately I love training and conditioning. And it seems a shame almost sometimes to go out to the field and get massacred and then have to be healing the injury and then try to get back to a high level of performance. I thought, isn't that a shame? I don't know hardly anybody who on football, basketball, rugby who would say, boy, I feel great this week. I'm 100%. Almost always you're saying like, boy, if just 1 week I could feel like I'm 100%.
True. Alex.
For me, well, it wasn't in high school. It happened actually really early. It was karate. The discipline of karate, working out, exercising with adults and other kids as well who were just training hard. And I could see or feel how much I was pushing my body, the limits physically, like working hard, sweating, like drenched. And to this day, I still train like that. Like when I work out, I push myself mentally, physically. I try to get to that point. And to that day, it sticks with me. And I feel like for me, that's been great. It's helping me in my training. It helps me with my clients. And then, seeing that athleticism from karate, I still kind of use it today with my training. So that's something that's just stuck with me forever. Can't just get rid of that work ethic that developed so young as a kid. Really was what it was.
I'm not sure exactly if it was necessarily grounding me per se. It was in grade school, track and field, running, because I felt that if the bullies could catch me, it was all over. So I learned to run, and I was good in track and field. So that gave me a sense of freedom and safety for a while. But I did. I enjoyed running, and now I don't run, but I love going out and taking walks. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Nice. Dr. Jean.
It's such a hard question for me because, I didn't do sports in high school. I was a dancer, I was a song leader, and I'm thinking, where were my kind of safer places?
Dancing keeps you safe.
But I thought, you know what? I wasn't even grounded in my dancing until I was an adult, probably in my 25.
I agree.
I remember being in a ballet class, and I had someone next to me that was also an older woman, and she said, "Don't you just love ballet? It's so meditative." And I was looking at her, and I thought, what a concept! Right? This is meditative, and from that moment on, I said, I haven't been grounded. And it really changed, right? Just that consciousness of that I don't have to be just doing a body thing. I can have my whole spirit in my body as I'm moving.
Nice.
I love that. And I don't know how to explain to teens that sensation, but as your awareness grows, I did ballet for 7 years, and then I had to stop because I started turning my ankles. And now looking back on it, I realized I wasn't actually really in my body. And so my twisting of my ankles, which made me change my sports, you can look at ballet as a sport. It was kind of a call of my body saying, "Hey, you're not in me. You're riding me to various places. We're not actually experiencing an integrated sensation." So what I would say to teens is, if you're finding that you're getting injured in some particular sport or something, it may be that your body's trying to talk to you.
My whole grounding experience was a little bit different. We got about a minute, but I used sports just to get out of the house, to be really honest. I didn't want to go home. So I had one of those childhoods. I had an amazing shield maiden, beautiful German immigrant mom, but my dad, Army, drinker. And I did anything I could just not to go home. So I played anything to do. I would empty trash cans in the, for the teachers. I did anything I could to stay after school. So whatever sport was playing, I just got really, really good at it. So that was my outlet. So definitely for me, grounded me my whole life, really. I mean, that's why I played so many sports in college. I just didn't want. I lived at home, didn't want to go home. That was that was my thing.
That makes sense.
It's true, and I was good too. And I was probably like 20 years shy of not being quote unquote, because it's 70s. We had Title IX and everything like that. So for college it worked, but as soon as I graduated, and I had an opportunity to go further, but it was like the money wasn't there then. So that's why I'm really excited for what sports have done for women, and what's taking place right now with trying to get rid of Title IX and everything that's going on right now. That's a story for another show. We'll talk about. We've already touched on it. We'll touch on it later. Let's take a break. It's Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. We got a little bit more after these messages.
Brazil. Back in the USSR. Way down in LA. Every day dancing in the street. Crossing China too. Me and you dancing in the street.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Teen Sports Radio. And I was going to respond to Alex about his experiences in martial arts. I had been through several martial arts during during my youth too, and a couple of them really stuck with me. One I really enjoyed was Tai Chi, Qigong, and Kung Fu, with that man who was the technical advisor on if you remember the old show Kung Fu with David Carradine.
Yeah.
How fun.
And that idea that you're drawing energy up from the earth and moving it through your body and utilizing it is, once you get onto that concept, the perception of it, it's fantastic. And then I also got to study Aikido with the right-hand student of Steven Seagal. When actually, my friends got him his screen test, Seagal, for doing movies, and he ran all the Seagal's gyms. And I just remember one time, it was an amazing experience of getting out of your head and just into your body, which is one thing I forgot about in terms of grounding and sports and things. It's so wonderful to just be at one with your body and out of your head and not thinking so much, And so one day, this junior instructor, I was going to be doing thrown and rolling, and every time I'd get up, no time to think, he'd just step in, he'd grab my hand, he'd throw me again. And
this is Aikido, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just over and over and over again. I had no possibility of beginning to form any thoughts and mulling anything over my head. It was just ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And after a while, I was laughing. I mean, at first I had trepidation about, am I going to be okay if I roll? and after a while, I'm just laughing. So that's a really incredible thing when you can just switch off the mind and be in your body. I think probably Erica, everybody who shared about sports, that's one of the great things.
Highly, highly recommend martial arts. And Aikido in particular is quite an interesting discipline, because the idea is that you're taking the energy, and through flow, you're just allowing that energy to then find its way elsewhere, but not harming yourself. And you can even do it in a gentle way that your opponents, even though they may be forceful energy against you, you can get so skillful that you even rescue the opponent from getting harmed as well. So yeah, a chance to do Aikido, Kung Fu, karate. Oh my gosh. They're such beautiful, beautiful art forms and teach so much discipline. So teens, if you have not taken a martial arts class, highly recommend that you check one out.
You know, that's one of the interesting things about the martial arts and the way they're taught, and especially what you're talking about here. First of all, you don't want to get into a fight if you can help it. I mean, that's the first thing. If you can diplomatically get out of getting into an altercation, so much the better. But if you do get into one where, okay, I have the skills, the abilities, the talents to where I can keep myself from being hurt and my opponent or, my antagonist. In other words, you're actually showing concern for the other person. And that, to me, goes a long way. I've seen situations where that has actually made the biggest difference of all. And I mean, because the last thing you don't want to get hurt. And honestly, I don't think anybody really wants to hurt somebody else, especially knowing like what Don knows, for example, or anybody else who might know karate or other of the martial arts. It was never the goal to injure or kill the other person. It was just, I'd rather not do this, and I really wish you would just, back off. But if you persist, okay, then I'll make sure that neither of us is hurt. And I think that's a marvelous concept, especially when we were talking in a previous program about the good and the bad. All right, this situation challenging, and it could go bad because we could both get hurt, or I could turn it around, not get emotional, and say, "Hey, I'm gonna protect the both of us."
Alex, how old were you when you took the classes?
5.
Oh,
Wow, that's young.
All the way up until 15.
The black belt?
Oh yeah.
Are you really?
Oh, really?
Well, and black belt means now you're ready to really study.
Yeah, that's.
I unfortunately, when you really get into martial arts, you realize it's like by the time you get to black belt, you're like, okay, now I'm ready to really understand what it is that I've embarked upon.
I never knew that, Alex, and I know you a long time. Wow. How come you don't talk about it? You don't say, "Oh, I'm a black belt." Everybody's a black belt. Just say, "Oh, I'm a black belt."
No, once you become a black belt, you don't talk about it.
It's interesting. It was very weird. So I did, talking about the mind and learning martial art, what they really don't tell you is, hey, you're learning how to hurt someone, but that doesn't mean you need to hurt someone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, like I got into altercations in junior high. And the thing is like people knew I knew karate. And so if they wanted to mess around, I was like, look, man, I'm not going to fight you. I don't want to fight. But if we're going to fight, like, look, I'm not going to use my karate on you.
Did you ever get people?
I will put you out. Like, I will hurt you.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't want to do that. So there was one fight. I remember to this day, I didn't use my karate. I just did street fighting, and it was a good fight. And that was it. It was done. Like, he wanted it. It was stupid. It was over a woman, a girl. I'm sorry, ladies. Junior high. I mean, come on.
Right.
Like, it was dumb. It was so dumb. It was so lame.
Yeah. Did Alex?
To this day, I still feel bad about it. To this day, I still feel bad about it. It's just weird.
Did you ever get people who they didn't really want to fight you, but they wanted to see what you could do, so they would challenge you? Come on, show me some moves, and so forth.
They would test. Oh yeah, they would test.
And that's why you wouldn't necessarily broadcast.
Tell them to put a cup on top of their head and kick it off.
No, because I knew if I kicked someone, man. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to use my kicks. I didn't.
Well, by then you're breaking bricks, so yeah, right?
Yeah, but at that 14, no, it was breaking a lot of wood boards, a lot of bricks.
Well, kudos.
Can you break a brick now?
No.
I was going to say.
I mean, I probably could if I,
I don't know if
it was life or death.
but I think if I were to just go and do it, like I might tweak my knee or my hip,
Yeah.
because it's been a while since I've done some kicks. You have to work on that conditioning for your joints to take that kind of impact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The farther we get along down the road, we have to make a cost-benefit analysis about whether we really should do something or not.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I train the way I do, because that athleticism that I learned from basketball and karate, I actually apply some of those things to my training workouts. So I feel like I'm getting that kind of fix, that athletic fix, that kind of, fun training routine, similar to how I used to play basketball and karate. So,
Okay, so we got 5 minutes. We're rolling down to 5 minutes, and this is the time where we open up love. Okay. Gratitude. All right, Dominique, who do you want to give thanks to?
I'm going to give a fast love to my mom. My mom has done something very special for a number of years for me, where she sets it up so that I take a break and go do fun things in other places. And so I'm going to get a break to go to Avila Beach for a couple of days. And you're going to come with me. And I really, really appreciate my mom for setting that up for me. Thank you so much, Mom.
Well, she's going to be in Jerusalem, so she felt bad. There you go. You know what I'm saying? There you go. What's so funny about it is I have her chipped. No, actually, her phone is chipped. But I like when she's away.
I track her phone.
Yeah, well, when she's away, but she doesn't do it as much as I do. I like to watch boop, 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 boop. I just follow her. I just feel like I'm there. You know what I mean?
No, I get my kids updates.
There
when
you
she
go.
travels.
Dr. Jean, who do you want to give some attention to?
Gosh, well, all this thinking about the being embodied and movement. And I want to say a shout out to Donya Robinson and Michael Love. And they have been running what's called Santa Barbara Ecstatic Dance Co-op all through COVID. They had outdoor music on the beach. And it really just got me through these last couple of years. And it was just the most beautiful setting. We could be out rolling around in the sand, whatever it was. But just the music that they play really helps you get into embodied place, right? To feel grounded and just clear for the day, and got me ready for the rest of the week. And in fact, they're going to be starting maybe about 4 months. Every month they're going to be having an ecstatic dance now out in Isla Vista at the community center there. I think the next one's coming up on the 23rd, but they've just really got something special. So big shout out to Donya and Mike.
Yay, good job, guys. Thank you so much for holding the fort down during shutdown. There you go. Don Sanders, who you want? We got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my neighbor at the corner who has always got the news. He always knows what's going on with everybody on the block. He always knows what's going on in the immediate area. It's like he'll text me and he'll say, "Hey, in this last couple of weeks, big fire out by the I-5. I can see the smoke from here, and they've been shutting down both directions on the I-5 since noon." I'm like, "What? Fire? Where?"
Funny. Alex, did you already give? Yeah, we got to go to you now.
My karate teacher, Master Zhang. He used to be Zhang's Karate Center out on De La Vina Street, right off of in between Coda and Haley. That guy took me in, and at 4 years old, taught me my stuff. 4 or 5 years old, I think it was 4.5. Taught me everything I know and gave me that good work ethic, that discipline. So, got to thank my karate teacher, since we were talking about it earlier.
Wax on, wax off.
I was just thinking the same thing.
He was my Mr. Miyagi, that's for sure. Yeah.
Nice. D, you want to go? Dr. D.
Oh, yes. You got to specify there because you call her D.
Dr.
Also.
D. Oh, that's right.
I want to thank a good friend of mine who I'm doing some work with, who helped me out yesterday and has just been a very good, I'll call her a confidant of sorts. I've got a lot of them, apparently. Daphne Kingma, who I've also had on my program a few times. And I just really appreciate the friendship. She's on her way to France, which is really cool. And she's a story writer, so she'll have more stories that she'll want to record as well. But I thank her for her kindness and her support as well. So thank you, Daphne.
All right. I mentioned her once before. I want to mention her again. Retired principal of St. Raphael's School, Ellen Manning. And she's on a vacation right now, visiting family and friends. But, anytime I get stuck, I have people. Hopefully we all have people, but I have somebody I could always reach out to, the motherly kind of thing. She always gives me really good advice. I just really so welcome the fact that I have somebody like her to talk to anytime I get in a stuck. Not like Dominique, that you don't fill the void. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but she's like that older kind of person. So I don't know. We've got a lot to be thankful for. We all live in a beautiful city. What I want to do is just be mindful of the fact that we're still coming out of this, and just be very considerate to those. I still
have patience.
Have a lot of patience.
Yep.
Equanimity.
Yep. Equanimity.
Everybody, no judgment. I've always said this during COVID, that there are going to be people that'll never take off that mask. And you know something? That's great. It doesn't matter.
Doing what works for them.
Everybody does what works for them. So let's be mindful of that. Let's make somebody happy today.
There you go.
All right. Let's and then don't forget to tune in next Tuesday and every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. God bless. See you next week.
Nothing's